You have something important to do. You genuinely want to start, but somehow you keep putting it off. And after seeing videos about ADHD online, you might start wondering, do I procrastinate because I have ADHD? Here's the important part. Procrastination can happen with ADHD, but procrastinating does not mean you have ADHD. The real difference is usually found in the bigger pattern. So, how can you tell the difference? First, procrastination is not ADHD. Procrastination is a behavior, and ADHD is a neurodevelopmental disorder involving persistent difficulties with attention and, for some people, hyperactivity and impulsivity. Almost everyone procrastinates sometimes. You might delay something because it's boring, difficult, stressful, or because you're afraid of doing it badly. That alone doesn't mean ADHD. Second, look at why you're procrastinating. With ordinary procrastination, there's often an obvious reason. Maybe the task is boring, overwhelming, or you'd simply rather do something easier. But with ADHD, the difficulty can sometimes feel more confusing. You may genuinely care about the task. You may know exactly why it matters. You may want to do it and still struggle to get started. This can be related to difficulties with executive functioning, including organizing, prioritizing, and initiating tasks. Third, look back, not just at right now. ADHD doesn't normally appear out of nowhere in adulthood. It's a developmental condition. So clinicians look for evidence that symptoms were present during childhood, even if nobody recognized them as ADHD at the time. Maybe there were long-standing difficulties with attention, forgetfulness, organization, impulsivity, or completing schoolwork. Your history matters. Fourth, ADHD doesn't always mean you can't focus. Someone might struggle to begin a boring task, but spend hours completely absorbed in something they find interesting. People sometimes describe this intense absorption as hyperfocus. So the question isn't simply, can I focus? A better question is, how consistently can I direct my attention, especially when something isn't interesting or immediately rewarding? Fifth, don't look only at procrastination. Are there also ongoing difficulties with attention, organization, time management, forgetfulness, finishing tasks, or impulsivity? And do these difficulties affect different areas of your life, like work, education, relationships, or everyday responsibilities? One behavior tells you very little. The broader pattern tells you much more. And finally, other problems can look like ADHD, poor sleep, stress, anxiety, depression, burnout, and other conditions can also affect concentration, motivation, memory, and productivity. That's why watching a list of ADHD traits online isn't enough to diagnose yourself. So, is it ADHD or just procrastination? Don't ask only, do I procrastinate? Ask whether there's a broader, persistent pattern affecting attention, organization, time management, and everyday functioning. And ask whether some version of that pattern has been present since childhood. If these difficulties consistently affect your work, studies, relationships, or everyday life, consider talking to a qualified healthcare professional. A proper ADHD assessment looks at the whole picture, not one habit, one symptom, or one online video. And remember, procrastination doesn't automatically mean ADHD. But genuine ADHD-related difficulties shouldn't simply be dismissed as laziness either. Understanding why you're struggling is much more useful than rushing to give yourself a label. Have you ever wondered whether your procrastination might be something more? Tell me in the comments. And if you want to understand the psychology behind your behavior, like and subscribe to the Psyversity for more psychology and self-improvement content. Take care of yourself, and I'll see you in the next video.